It had taken more than 24 hours for the police to grant Callahan's request to open the bags, and suddenly it was time. The Chinese Public Security Bureau, PSB, here in far western China, initially acted as though his request to unlock Chris's and Charlie's duffels had been overstepping bounds. Now it seemed every desk clerk and janitor in the building had packed into the small space, all waiting to see the bags reveal their secrets. The buzz from the Chinese police officers collided with the tranquil scene just outside the station. The streets of Litong were home to Tibetan Buddhists, most of them dressed in traditional clothing of richly woven fabrics made from yak hair. Oblivious to the drama inside the station, the locals were focused instead on impending weather systems and the impact to their barley crops. 2 oversized duffels lay in the middle of the room, each secured with a lock. Callahan fiddled with each one, tugging to see if he could jimmy them open. No luck. He'd been operating on wisps of sleep and too much coffee since heading up the search and rescue operation a week ago. Or was it a search and recovery? The differences muddied his exhausted mind. Setting them aside felt like the only way to move forward. Callahan had left his academic fellowship in Kyrgyzstan as soon as he'd been alerted to the disappearance of Chris Boskoff and Charlie Fowler by Mountain Madness, Chris's Seattle-based guiding company. Having solid experience dealing with the Chinese and a grasp of the language, he was a good match to head the on-the-ground operation. Chris was a friend, and Charlie was a climber he'd known and admired for years. The couple loved climbing more than anyone he knew. At age 32, Callahan was an accomplished mountaineer himself who'd led trips for Mountain Madness and understood the draw of remote peaks in this part of the world. Both the terrain and the people in the area near the Tibetan border had captivated Charlie for decades, and now Chris shared his fascination. It was an area they'd returned to again and again. This time, no plan had been left to track their whereabouts. No permits had been requested to help aid the massive hunt. In short, nobody knew where the hell they were. "Christine, damn it, woman," Callahan thought. "Please tell me you've left something in here to give us a clue where you've gone." "Can we get a bolt cutter in here?" he asked. The nearest PSB officer paused for a moment, stymied by Callahan's Mandarin accent. He tripped over a colleague's foot as he pushed out the door, heading for the police toolbox. In the week since Callahan had arrived in China, he'd been mostly holed up in Chengdu, Chris and Charlie's last confirmed location, following leads. It took a sizable reward to tease out the information needed to land him in this police station in the city of Litong, 3 days west of Chengdu on the Tibetan Plateau. The air was thin in this part of the country, altitude 12,900 feet. The caravan leaving Chengdu a few days ago had included a CNN crew. Chris and Charlie's disappearance had started to grab headlines in the United States. A trio of climbers on Oregon's Mount Hood had vanished just weeks earlier, feeding the nightly news reports for several days. The Pacific Northwest drew climbers from around the United States, as there was no finer place in the country to prepare for attempting any of the world's 14 8,000-meter peaks. As the drama from the slopes in Oregon turned from a rescue of live climbers to a recovery of their bodies, the story unfolding in China stirred the public's desire for a happy ending, a Christmas miracle. It was December 23, 2006. The CNN crew was eager to join the search team as it headed west. But going west meant a gradual increase in elevation. Passing through Konding at 8,399 feet and onto Litong, altitude sickness hit the journalists in waves, and by the second day, Callahan was shaking their hands as the beleaguered reporter and his cameraman descended to the oxygen-rich air of Chengdu. "Sorry, man," Callahan said as they crawled into their getaway vehicle. "I wish we had some better visuals for you guys, but that's just not how things work in China." "Yeah, no worries," the reporter mumbled. "Just call us."